The state of Israel has approved a $300 million plan, and this it wants to do to try and double the number of Jewish settlers in the Golan Heights that Israel illegally captured in the 1967 war. The multi-million-dollar project plans were in fact announced by the Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, and the move is meant to try and further consolidate Israel's hold of the Golan Heights by bringing about a demographic change in the Golan Heights. Now, under the plan, Israel aims to build about 7,300 settler homes in the region over a 5-year period. 2 new Golan settlements are also planned, and 4,000 homes will be built there. Homes will look something like this, very fancy homes that Israel has planned. And the announcement has come 40 years after the state of Israel illegally annexed the territory. Remember, this annexation is not recognized by most countries around the world, including the United Nations. Now, millions of dollars will be poured in on creating some housing infrastructure and other projects. The goal is to try and attract roughly about 23,000 new Jewish settlers into this area that Israel has occupied illegally. About 25,000 Israeli settlers already live in the Golan Heights, along with about 23,000 Druze people.
המטרה שלנו היום היא להכפיל את ההתיישבות ברמת הגולן. לשם כך אנחנו מחזקים את העיר קצרין בשתי שכונות חדשות, רובע 12, רובע 13. לשם כך אנחנו גם מקימים 2 יישובים חדשים ברמת הגולן, היישוב אסיף והיישוב מטר. אנחנו מגבירים פה את ההתיישבות.
Now remember, the state of Israel occupied the Golan Heights from Syria in the war in 1967 and then annexed this territory in 1981. But the move has not been recognized by most countries around the world, including the United Nations, and the United Nations has mandated that this is territory that needs to be returned to Syria once Israel decides to go back to its 1967 borders. The United States happens to be the first country to have recognized Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights that were occupied illegally, and this was done under the former President Donald Trump in 2019. Naftali Bennett has claimed that almost after a decade of conflict in Syria, international calls to restore the Syrian territory back to the Syrians have been muted. Israel and Syria are still technically at war with each other and are separated by a de facto border at the Golan Heights. The region overlooks Lebanon and borders with Jordan. Now, Israel has long argued that it needs the Golan Heights as a strategic depth, and it has been trying to fully integrate the Golan Heights since it was captured illegally by the Israelis. And it also has claimed that it needs the control of the Golan Heights as protection from Iran and its allies in Syria, but Syria has demanded that according to international rules, Golan Heights is a territory that needs to be restored to the Syrian nation. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.